Hello, everyone. Welcome to the day after. Is there really any way to mark time, though? That's the question. We can pretend, but it's an arbitrary starting point, right? So it could be anywhere. There's no reference. Let's do this down 3 breaths per position. Drop the knees, turn the hips under. So one more breath, if y'all are doing it with. It's that. Breathe in. Connect upwards. It's really good, right, to do that for my shoulder, but that teaches me to have to let go. because it used to just be loose, but now it hurts when it gets into that slightly out position. It like really hurts. And so I don't know. I'm working on it. This helps because you flex those muscles, you know. I could probably get some kind of treatment on it that would make it heal faster. But yeah, so welcome, you guys. If you're confused by what's happening here, then watch from the beginning. Listen to the podcast from the beginning. It's in the description, right? But the YouTube stuff comes after the podcast. So if you want to have like 50 hours of content that doesn't hold back, and it doesn't have a camp, it doesn't have a tribe, right? There's no associations. But since we use words, there will be a drifting into what perhaps has been programmed into our minds, you know, on average. When we hear a certain word, then it invokes a certain imagery and identifiable positioning. But all of that shit is bullshit, right? Because we have to use words, there will be some overlap into the mundane, you know. But this shit is all of the highest and best, right? And so that isn't mundane. It should be, right? The idea is that we operate from that place on the fulcrum all the time, right? We act like this meditation is going to make your regular life better, right? Right? If you do this, then that. But really, what meditation, if you're in the state, right, then you're at your highest operating potential. And so that's how we're supposed to operate. It's not for a while and then suddenly life will be better, right? I mean, this lifelong meditation practice, right? Practice means that you're approaching, right? And we talk about approach. But there's no, the state on the fulcrum can be arrived at right now. There's no need to approach it because it's not a declaration of knowledge. It really isn't. It's just what is. And that's what you allow to come in, right? What is, right? Not what you think it is, right? Thinking is the division. That's the separation. That's the collapse of the wave function. That's the disconnection from everything, right? And investment and identity into the illusion of division. And we always this is always talked about. It's so cliche. So motherfucking cliche. And it's that same old syndrome too. We all recognize the truth, right? Of what, of Taoism, of Zen Buddhism, right? Of this ancient wisdom, right? Which all actually is referenced to an older set of knowledge, right? This is what we talk about. But it's all lip service, you know. Saying it don't make it true. Saying it don't make it so. And, you know, that's evident also with the inversion of that statement, right? Which is when you hear something said, right? When you apply, you take what was said and shine it onto the source of whomever said it, right? And see if you can find contradiction there, right? And you always will be able to, because there's this paradox that you can't avoid, right? The paradox. And that's the identification of it, right? So this is why it's not a declaration of a position, because it's the identification of the superposition, right, of things, where they exist as two things at once until they are observed or measured, right, which collapses the wave function. And so the whole thing, right, is to operate. That is the fulcrum. That is the fulcrum between poles, right, between the swings of the pendulum. There is a fixed point that doesn't waver. And this is that cosmic background, right? This is the void of pure potentiality, the womb of creation, right? And so to pay it lip service, right, as important, and then not recognize that it's not an opinion, right? Not recognize that it isn't just another set of filters to view this, whatever this is, right? And so it's not, it can't be attacked in that way, right? It can't be negated by attacking the source of the information, right? And so it's like, again, for me, what I've dug down to, right, as the initial conditions is our perception of value, right, living in the material aspect, right? There's a necessity for the continuation, the continued, right, movement of civilization. And so, yeah, and how does that happen? This thing, right, this value, right, that how we perceive value, right? If it's purely in a materialistic viewpoint, meaning that there's a measurable supply of value, right? That is not infinite, is limited, right? That conception of value, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because, right, it's a belief. And if everyone on average, if the majority hold that belief, right, then we've been over this, right? Then it becomes a condition in all interactions, right? All relationship that takes place. And so it's just like I was explaining before, a meeting of the heads of organized crime houses, right? Obviously, there's an agreement that it must be no weapons allowed, but then everyone smuggles in a weapon, right? That's what everyone's doing in civilization, is counting, is always plan being a selfish fucking interaction. Right? So everyone has a plan B. And once the plan B is pulled by one person, meaning that they're looking around for the tendency of a selfish motivation, right? And once they recognize it, then they operate in to counter that, right? And so then it's a chain reaction, and it goes on from there, right? So changing the initial conditions is what's important, and the initial conditions reside in our cognition, right, of our surroundings, our consciousness, right? And so recognizing that polarity is unity in disguise, right? And so that taking one side of a polar position, one polarity over the other, is a blindness to the unity of those two things, right? Because there's a rhythm, right? Polarity dances between positive and negative, right? At a rhythm, right? But so in society, right, the mistake that we make is that a polar position opposes the other side, when really they define each other, and they require each other to exist, right? And so then we can operate in society ignoring the superposition, right? And so to have a conception of value, right, that is not individualized, meaning what portion of the supply is mine, right? Having that conception of value is ignoring the unity, right? Ignoring the unity of polarity, right? Because you're taking a divided position as us, me and mine against everyone else, right? And so it's a purposeful ignoring, right? Ignorance of the superposition of polarity, meaning that they require each other to exist. And so the only place to perceive, right, what is from a position that is not non-polar, non-dual, right? Duality is just another like smokescreen on the concept of polarity, right? And so it's a very simple recognition of this superposition of the individual and the collective, right? Right. We are ambulatory. We walk around. We have bodies, right? Right. We require certain elements in which to continue to do so, right? But there's no acquisition of those elements, the required elements for survival, right? Without relationship. So there is no without relationship with the collective, right? Because this is how we operate. We are, right, a species that interacts with the environment, with nature as a unit, right? If that wasn't the case, then we'd all be interfacing with the environment individually, right? But we don't do that. Obviously, we fucking don't do that, right? Because we are all engaging in occupations, right, that are specialized, that fit into the assembly line of our production, right, which is the product, right? When they talk about gross national product, everyone is like, that's like it's like separate somehow from living, right? But this is how we live, right? Is by producing, right? And we all produce, and it's the combination of everything that each of us do individually, right, that results in the output of society, right, which results in the continuing on of it and also its members. So the concept, right, the idea that it's all an individual journey when there's no fucking path, right, without an exchange of value with others, right? So, right, there's this polar relationship, right, of the individual and the collective, right? And we are both things at once. That there's not, you can't like decide to lean towards one or the other, you know? There's, right, because that's what human beings do. We exchange our energy and information that springs from, right, our perception, right, that springs from, we all have an individual laboratory in which to experiment with information, right? And we use energy to do that. And if somehow some individual can come up with something novel, right, that benefits others, right, that's like the idea. And that's not possible when everyone's mind is one mind, right? So in order to actually have seeds be created, there needs to be, right, this individuation of our mental capacities, our mental faculties, right? In order for the seed of the new to even come into existence, that is required. Because as one mind, right, if we were all just one hive mind, right, that was operated by one perception, right? If we all shared consciousness, right, that's what it would be. It would just be one mind, and so it the capabilities of the individual would be completely moot, right? The capability of the addition of novelty, right, of the new, of the unknown, because there wouldn't be all of the units, right, would be operating without fucking agency, right? Just doing their job, right, for the entirety. So there's no way that innovation can occur, right, in that sense. And so this is the warning, right, of this hive mind collective that could be possible with an insertion of chip, right? This hybridization, this cyborg, or this transhuman fucking thing, right? This is really, really, really probably the worst outcome, right? It's worse than total destruction because it totally inverts our nature, right? So yeah, right. We are individuals, right? But how we live isn't possible without others, right? So there's that, right? It's recognition of that superposition, and so in order to come at a new conception of value, an inversion of the one that is that the majority holds, the majority of the people on the planet, right, holds a conception of value that is limited. That there's a limited supply, right, and everyone demands a portion of it, right? Supply and demand. The recognition of the superposition, right? So that's an individual conception. That's leaning towards the individual, like there would be a supply without the collective. It's fucking so retarded, right? And don't talk to me about fucking building an earth ship out in the mountains and fucking, growing all your own food and living off of the land. That's fucking fantastic. Like, we all need to know that information. But you're still not, you still need relationship even for that model to work. And if you think about it, like all of us just being solo in the mountains, right? I mean, I roll my eyes. That's a stupid ass fucking method. But again, even with that scenario, it requires relationship in order for it to continue, right? We are social creatures. I mean, all of this shit just rolls off y'all like you're fucking waterproof to the truth. Stop being, stop it with your duck feathers, right? With your duck feather suit that you're wearing, like remove it, right? Let the truth soak in, which is this unity, right? That unity is polarity, right? That we permit the superposition, and that's getting into the state that leaves a portion open for the new, right? And it also recognizes that our ability to bring the new in actually is the addition to the supply, right? So there's constant adding to the supply, right? And we actually get better at it, right? We make it so everyone can live comfortably, right? If we do it right, you just get better at it. At, you know, the, you know, unit of addition of value is just going up, right? And it gets compounded by our, technical knowledge, right? It's not like we abandon our warehouse of knowledge that we've accumulated over thousands of generations. Right? We use that all to our advantage, right? In a way that recognizes that that the addition of the new is how we add to the supply. And so we do not curtail any addition that is possible. And so then we permit everyone to fucking contribute, right? Because then our odds of fucking, actually having technical applied science work in our favor, right? Go way up. And so then we also make it so, yeah, it's not a free ride. It's not UBI. That's the worst fucking idea ever, right? That just perpetuates the power structure, right? The keeping the means of production in the hands of the few, right? That's what UBI will do. And so the lefties all being suddenly for it is hilarious. Dumb motherfuckers, right? And the right fucking thinking that that we just need to, make manufacturing an employable space again that employs people again, right? Dumb motherfuckers also, right? Stop camping, right? Stop it with the camps and stop resisting what you perceive to be the opposition, because you're just being fucking tricked. I know, I get excited about it because it's frustrating, because it's so easy to see. It's so transparent once you put yourself on the fulcrum, right? The permission of the superposition, right? And you can do that through, that's why this Qigong thing is important, because you can actually access it pretty fucking quick. Which is why it's such, it's why it's part of the Tao. It's this 5,000-year-old tradition. They try to bring that date earlier into time, but this is shit. This is the leftover knowledge, right, from before the cataclysm. 12,000, plus 12 to 13,000 years ago. Previous to that, it was a golden age on Earth, right? And something happened, right? Something no bueno, right? And we've been in this fallen state since then, right? And so it's possible. This isn't our natural state, right? This is the big lie. It's possible for us to turn all of our faculties back on again. All of this whole perception apparatus. It's possible to do so, right? But we have to recognize a few things, right? And this is, right, I address the crux of the issue. And it's funny that crux kind of means that too, right? That's meta. That's some real meta for you. Right? The crux is that critical positioning on an approach, right? That is the do or die moment, right? The do or die move that is required to advance, right? Otherwise, it's your muscles start to shake, right? Because you're just there hanging on, unable to make that maneuver. Yeah. So are y'all following? Are you getting it? It's really fucking simple. That we permit the superposition, and that allows us to see that polarity is unity in disguise, is an illusion, right? And it allows us to conceptualize value into unlimited as to limited, and to recognize that the more, right, the more living that is done, right? And how do we live? We create value for others. To recognize that the more living is done, the more the supply increases, right? And so if we promote living, right, we add to the supply faster, right, of value, right, which are all of the things that people require, right, in order to not only survive, but to um, fucking experience the wonder and the joy and the beauty and the love. So, yeah, I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and I was not really feeling it, but I think it came out good, right? That's like me after a soccer game. I had a good game. Good job. And it's like, no, you only get to be told you had a good game. You don't get to tell yourself you had a good game. No, but I can tell that the way I said that should be cogent, right? If you have the knowledge to process it, right? Yeah, and there is background knowledge required, and I got that all for you, right? Episode 1 through 24, and then start from the beginning of the YT, because each one of these things that I do, these chats or whatever, it allowing it, right, to happen actually um, permits me to not try to like measure how to get to where we need to be, to create a position, right? Because we are already perfect, right? All that must needs be done is recognize that we're fully evolved already. We don't need to evolve, and we don't need a revolution. We don't need to turn in a circle again and start from the beginning. Right? The trivium and the quadrivium are good just to understand that, yeah, rhetoric is required, right? The use of words is necessary, and that it actually has an effect, right? That you can actually say something and reach someone, and you can't tell anyone anything, right? But when you do it, right, I'm just broadcasting, and hopefully it is coming over the ears of whoever can comprehend. And yeah, like I wasn't feeling it. Like it's day after Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful. Like I woke up thanking everything, and not just today, but like I try to do it every day despite it being a struggle. But I'm thinking, I was just like, okay, I gotta go it alone. Like I perhaps I just have to, that's the lesson that I need to learn this whole time, is that I've been wanting to be invited or to join or to like, something, right? But it's never happened. So, yeah, if you're down to team, right, then do the thing, right? I got a donate button. Seemed fucking stupid to say that, or because it should be already, right? Already. But that's why I was feeling a little bit down, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad I went live again. So stay tuned, and I love you guys. Love has no polarity, right? That is the cosmic background. That is the superposition, right? There's no polarity when you're operating from love. Okay, till next time.